3 o'clock. So welcome everybody. We're back again. It's lovely to see so many familiar names, so many familiar faces, and some new names as well. So welcome along. Thanks everybody who is joining us today. So those of you that have kind of tuned into these conversations previously will know the kind of format. We just kind of sit down and have a real kind of relaxed chat, basically. And this all started a few weeks ago when it was Admin Professionals Appreciation Week. And I thought it would be a good idea to kind of get some leading lights in the industry to come on camera and just run through their experience and, you know, their background and, you know, spread a bit of inspiration. And that was really, really well received. So we've decided to keep going with it and cherry pick some inspirational figures within the industry and hear about their stories. So as I always say, nobody's here to listen to me. It's all about you, Meg. So welcome. Thanks for joining us. You'll notice that I haven't given you a full introduction, so I'm going to kind of leave that to you. Do you want to, should we kick off the conversation by running us through what you've been up to work-wise, how you got into your career, and you know, a bit of backstory?
Yes. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me and saying that I'm an inspiration to the industry. It makes me feel all giddy and wanting to blush. Thank you. Yes, so I'm Meg Steinschauer. For those of you who see my surname and want to run for the hills, it's not so difficult now that I've said it. I am originally from Johannesburg in South Africa, but I live here in the UK and I've been here for a couple of years now. I'm an executive assistant at the moment, and I'm also the founder of Connected Assistant. And that is a support group for administrative professionals where we can, you know, openly and honestly come and talk to each other about our highs and our lows and what we're battling with and what we're really doing well at. And really just to support each other with whatever we need support in. And I started that about 8 months ago because I wanted some genuine connection. You know, if I was having some trouble with whatever project or possibly just needing somewhere to vent, I didn't exactly know where to go. So that's how Connected Assistance was born. But before all of this, how I got into being an EA, oh goodness, so this is about a 10-year story. I'll make it short. But before being an executive assistant, I was doing sales and customer care. My original qualification is in animal nutrition. So that's actually how I met my husband.
Animal nutrition? Animal
nutrition, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So, and did you work in animal nutrition for a while, or did you have some work background in that?
Yes, so I did. I used to do the sales. So people would come to me and ask, give me their pet ailments, and I'd recommend feed and so on, and on that basis.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. I did that for a good couple of years.
Yeah.
And before that, I used to do conveyancing. I did reception work for a conveyancing firm. I did all kinds of little bits. I even worked as a beautician for 7 months. That was very interesting. I could write a book on that experience. But yeah, so one of my clients, when I was an animal nutritionist, actually asked me to be his assistant, and I didn't actually know what any of that was all about, but then I said, yeah, sure, let's go for it. And that's how I became an executive assistant. I then went and supported 2 executives at Nike Golf. I didn't know anything from, you know, about sports, and then you know, all these famous chaps would walk in and I wouldn't know who they are, and I'd be like, yes sir, no sir, right, let's get this done. I didn't know I was speaking to famous people.
And whereabouts was that? Was that in the UK or back home?
So that was in South Africa. Yeah.
Fantastic. So at Nike Golf, I'm a huge sports fan, and Nike is a brand that I follow a lot. I recently read Shoe Dog, the story behind Phil Knight, which, if anybody is into reading, it's a fantastic book to read. It's not just about sports and what have you. But I know Nike kind of pride themselves on having an amazing company culture. That's what from the outside is that what it's like internally?
I have never worked anywhere like that. And if they ask me to come back now, I will drop everything and go back in heartbeats. It was so beautiful. I worked incredibly hard there. As you can imagine, it's full on, it's intense. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was beautiful. My favorite part was the strategic planning of apparel lines and how all of that came together. So from, placing the orders with the factories and the lead times and all of that, I just found it so fascinating, and how a beautiful project can come together from conception to completion. It just really my boat.
And who were you working directly alongside there at Nike? What was your kind of your main report there, and kind of department wise, what did those guys do?
Right up the high level. So I supported the two chaps right at the very top of the golf, the golf element of it, Nike Golf.
Brilliant.
So that was interesting.
You went straight into that without having any previous executive assistant experience?
So yes, it was a major flip in anything I'd ever done. I think what was my saving grace was I had experience in administration, in the sense that I did conveyancing reception. So I understood the confidentiality, and I understood, the complexities that came with, working in administration. And it was a major shift for me, because I had to wear multiple different hats. So I was coming from a predominantly like customer care type role, which did serve the sales element of what I did really well. So that worked well. But I did have to find my feet really quickly with the strategic thinking. But I found it to be so interesting that it almost came naturally, in a sense. And I was there for about 3 years, and then we moved here.
And that's obviously kind of where it went from there. So what was your kind of, by the sounds of it, the role was ever changing, it was really varied, and you had to do all these different things. What would you say, what did a kind of average week look like, if there was an average week, should we say?
It really depended on the season, because we'd have golf day seasons whenever the Open with the Masters and all these things. I can't even remember half of them, but it really depended on those seasons. But on average, I would say a day consisted of having multiple meetings in the morning to see where we are and what we're going to do, and just constant strategy, making sure that we're keeping aligned to what it is that we want to do and where we want to go, and just keeping on top of the latest and greatest trends.
Amazing, brilliant. And so then as you say, you came to London, and then what was the kind of career journey from there when you arrived in the UK?
I was a bit apprehensive, because I'd never ever left South Africa. I'd been to a couple of neighboring countries, but I don't think that really counts, because it's still the same. I was a bit apprehensive because I wasn't sure what the working culture would be like. So the work ethic in where I was, it was just constant, like people would take leave and I wouldn't take leave. People would go on holiday and I would never go on holiday. And I wasn't sure what it was going to be like over here. And so I was pleasantly surprised when I then landed a role at a company called NVIDIA. That's a technology company. And then I found like my passion. I was like, I love technology and working with engineers, and I want to support them forever. And I really enjoyed it. So there I ended up supporting the global vice president of facilities. And that was also very interesting. We had lots of people doing travel to multiple countries. And prior to that, I'd never really done travel, such complex travel for so many people. I got it to a niche with 1 or 2 guys. But then I had suddenly 150 people saying, well, this week I need to go to India and I need visas, and so-and-so is coming from the States. Can you please also organize my ESTA? And I was like, Yes, fine. I never ever let them know that I was really afraid of what they were asking me.
Brilliant. That's great. So it was a tech company. So what kind of things do they get involved with then?
So that was very interesting because we had multiple sort of things going on. So they did the chip design of graphic processing units.
Okay.
So they did that for, you know, like screens that go in cars.
Yeah.
And we had a lab there that
Yeah.
people could come to, and they could like, I still don't understand half the things they did, because they had like funny boards with all kinds of like diodes and you name it, and that was very interesting.
Yeah, good stuff. And what were kind of data, the day to day, were you involved, you working at a senior level, so you were privy to all the kind of strategy and the background of the business, but what did kind of average weeks look like from there?
So when I was there, I took on a wonderful project. I sort of aligned myself with green initiatives.
Yeah.
So that took up a lot of my energy. And one of the things that I did there was I applied for a grant to the council to get an electrical vehicle charging point put in.
Okay.
And so I ran surveys across the site to see what people would do if we did that.
Yeah.
And I also then wanted to know more or less what it is that they wanted from green initiatives and sustainable commuting. So I ended up getting a grant from the council and having a electrical vehicle charging point, EVP, I'm going to say, installed, and that was met with a lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah. How
and
long
then
ago was that? Sorry to interrupt, but how long ago was that? Because knowing a little bit about your career story, it's not like the modern day where it's not like today 2020 where these things are like fully, like you see a lot of them, right? So how many years ago was that?
So that was in 2014.
Yeah. So
it wasn't everywhere. It
no.
wasn't. Yeah.
Brilliant. Fantastic. And so how long were you with these guys for then?
I wasn't with them for very long, probably about a year, and then I was snatched up by one of their rivals.
Oh, how did that go down?
Oh, it was okay because they were actually going through a restructure. They were closing off one business unit, so it was okay. We're still friendly.
That's good. That's good. Always leave the door open.
Yes,
When
yes.
you can. Yeah, good. And you were doing the same kind of thing there, was it? In pretty much same industry and same technology and bits and pieces like that.
Yes, and only there I started focusing a bit more on HR.
Yeah.
So I headed up an element of our Bristol office, their learning and development, and that was very interesting. So people would have their performance reviews, and then all of their learning and development requests would come through to me, and I'd have to go and source all these things and arrange trainers to come in, and it was very interesting. I did sort of take a step back in the sense of working part-time because I had a little girl at that stage, and I was pregnant with my second one. So thank you. Yeah.
Brilliant. And you've had one more move since then, haven't you? And it's a footwear company. Is that right?
Yes. So now I work for a footwear company doing they do safety footwear. So they design, manufacture, and distribute safety footwear. And again, it's I'm supporting the co-founder at the moment, and again, it's just such a lovely role because I'm in it and I sort of see it from the top down, and I can see how it all works together. And I very much enjoy strategy and seeing how it all works.
Fantastic. When you were talking about when you were considering the move from South Africa over to the UK, you made a comment about kind of thinking about what the culture will be work-wise. What would you say, if there is any, what are the kind of key differences in working culture between the two from what you've seen, if any?
Honestly, I don't think there is much difference.
Okay.
I think South Africa had a lot of influence from Britain, so I think we've got all your good habits.
How about the really bad ones?
No.
Yeah, we
No,
know
there's none of that.
that. And what I know a lot of people, will be really interested to hear the backstory of your network and the bits and pieces that you're doing and really developing that. So give us a little overview about the association and how it all came about, and the bits and pieces that you do, because it would be great to shine the spotlight on that.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. So I started it about 8 months ago, and I wanted, a group of us to get together on a monthly basis and discuss what's worked well, what hasn't worked well, and how we can best support each other. And that is fundamentally what it was always meant to be. And I'm very pleased that that is what it is. So I have virtual coffees on a monthly basis now, the last Wednesday of every month. And we've got people joining us from all over the world. And that's really interesting because, we talk about strategies and, we can talk about whatever comes up. It's very chilled out. And it's almost like a little group of like a sisterhood with a couple of brothers. It's really nice. And so I started it, and it sort of developed into this platform where I am helping people connect with themselves. So I do a lot of coaching in strategic thinking and strategic partnering, and lots of how-tos, and then also how to connect with your organization. So there's a lot of productivity in there as well. So I teach some OneNote classes. I can teach about Outlook, and it all comes from my personal experience and what works for me. And then I've got the little connect with your community as well. And I'm working on, which hasn't been published yet, so I'm going to say it here, working on some courses as well. So I've written a course on building confidence, because that's been quite a journey for me, from feeling like, oh, I don't know how to do this, to actually being, that is something that's in my wheelhouse, and I know that, and learning how to actually speak up and have a voice.
Fantastic, brilliant. I mean, it's I think that, as you know, I love initiatives like that. I think it's important to have it. I think it's important to have it for every industry, and especially the industry that we kind of service a lot between us, and all of these things. Having seen firsthand over the last kind of 8 weeks, the sense of bringing a whole bunch of people together is a wonderful feeling. We had a webinar yesterday, and everyone was kind of chatting between themselves. It was, so nice to kind of have that support network around you, especially in this moment as well. So I think it's great, and anybody that kind of takes the time to go off and do something like that, in my opinion, deserves a big pat on the back. So what was the kind of motivation behind doing it? Was there some kind of series of triggers which you thought, oh, okay, I could do with some help behind this, or what was the motivation behind getting it all up and running?
So I had a couple of friends who were feeling really frustrated, in the sense that as executive assistants, we've got a sort of profile that we have to have within an organization, in the sense that we have to be able to represent the company in a way. So if somebody is starting, they come through to the water cooler and they want to say, well, your CEO has just made the most incredibly insane comment, and I think XYZ. And I think we've all been there, where there's like gossipy things going on. And I wholeheartedly believe that as executive assistants, and as humans in general, we have to protect the integrity of our own integrity and that of everybody else. So I was like, how am I going to help people sort of, maybe adopt that mindset or see the benefits of something like that? And even if it is just the 5 people who I knew who were battling with, not having a place to go when they've got a frustration, or, they want to vent about something, even if it was just those 5 people, I would feel that, I would have accomplished something. And as we are now, we've got nearly 600 people. And I really enjoy the variety of, speaking to all these people with all their different situations that have come along their paths, and looking at ways to help them protect their integrity and that of everybody else as well.
Amazing. And that's it's great. It's a great motivation to kind of put it all together. So how can people get involved with the network and with the group? How can they get in contact with it and sign up and become members?
Great. So I have got the group here on LinkedIn, so you can search for it that way. But you can also go to connectedassistants.com, and on the homepage you'll see that there's the 3 options, and select the connect with your community, which will link you through to the community charter, which is a place where I've got some ethics and guidelines and just general practices where everybody is safe to speak. Oh yes, I can write the link here. And so that you can just request access to it, and if you're an administrative professional, you're in.
Good stuff. That's what we like to hear. So I want to give everybody kind of forewarning, because I'm gonna have a couple more questions with Meg. But if anybody has got some questions that they would like to pose, start having to kind of think about them now, and start popping them in the chat box if you want, and then we can come back to those in a second. Something that I've picked up on this conversation is that you have, it seems that you're kind of going through a bit of a transition into, having done the EA work, having built up lots of experience, you're now giving a lot back. You've written your course, you're doing kind of coaching, training, bits and pieces like that. What does the future hold for you? And is that a side of things that you really want to kind of, investigate a whole lot more?
I have always been somebody who enjoys helping other people feel successful. And I think that was that's why customer care and sales was really natural to me, because I enjoyed making people happy and making their pets healthy. And I think that's why being an executive assistant has just been so lovely for me as well. I really enjoy that. I am thoroughly enjoying being a coach and mentor. The connections that I've made with the people that I'm mentoring and coaching, which are 2 completely different things. I feel that those are very profound. I don't know what the future holds. I very much enjoy being an executive assistant because it's varied, it's always different, and I get to be involved in strategy and high level thinking. But I also very much enjoy the personal touch of coaching and mentoring. So perhaps it'll be a bit of both, but I might lean towards one.
I've got a feeling, I'm gonna just put it out there. I've got a feeling, just from having this conversation and the way that you present yourself and the way that you talk, I've got a feeling that we're going to see quite a bit more of you over the years to come. I've just got a feeling you can kind of see, you can kind of see it. Let's see, let's see what the future holds. Normally I ask these questions, the other way around. So it's my fault because it normally ends on that question. But what I normally ask before then, what I normally ask before then is what kind of, I always like to kind of leave it with, what kind of advice would you have given yourself today, 10 years ago, and what's the best piece of advice that you can give to people that have been watching, trying to find their way as an EA and what have you, based on the experience that you've gleaned over the years?
Very, very easy for me to say now. And if you asked me this question 10 years ago, if only I'd done this. It is to take the time to review, reflect, and possibly change direction if you need to. And that can be something as simple as at the end of every week, just going, Monday wasn't a great day because so-and-so spoke to me in this way. Address that, because that is something that could possibly fester. It's just really take the time to review and reflect and know yourself. Once you have journal that, you know, do it digitally, however you want to do that, but look back at how you're feeling and how you are, you know, coping with the situations that have come your way, because you will without a doubt be able to see a pattern in your own growth, and you know, a pattern in situations that you find yourself in, and how to actually create boundaries. You'll learn a lot about yourself, what you like and what you don't like, by taking a moment to reflect. I wholeheartedly recommend everybody does that.
Brilliant. I think that's fantastic advice. I couldn't agree more. And I think that's a brilliant way to kind of to wrap up the conversation. It's been great having you on. Let's see if we've got any questions. Somebody's messaged me privately saying, "Are you allowed to mention the name of the footwear company that you work for at the moment?"
You can probably see it on my LinkedIn profile.
Yes. Okay. I like it. I like that answer. Has anyone else got any questions for Meg? If any, I always say this, if anyone wants to come off mute, that's always good fun. We like that. We like it when people come off mute. So, you know, those of you that know us well by now, we're all very open and, you know, like the conversation. Whilst we're giving people a chance to do that, it seems like you've got some great things on offer, Meg. And if you'd love to come back and share some thoughts on a webinar with some kind of mentoring and coaching, I'd love to have you back on if that's something you'd go up for.
Yes, well, I'd actually really love to possibly do the first bit of my course.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
So
we'll talk about that.
Yeah. What's the first bit of your course then?
All right, so I'll share this with you all.
Okay.
It hasn't gone out yet, but basically I have modeled my course on ACT as a barometer. You can build confidence by acting as a barometer, and the acronym over there is ACT. So what I teach you in this course is first to create an awareness of yourself and an awareness of what you like and what you don't like, how you work, how you don't want to work, what kind of boundaries you need. And once you have an awareness of yourself and your working style and your ethics and the way that you represent yourself in your body language, you know, once you have a whole awareness, you can move into communication. And communication is within your organization. So go and spend time with all these different organizations, all these different people within your organization. Spend half an hour every week and learn the business, build up your business acumen, and create an awareness of your organization. So you've got the first two, which is awareness and communication. And once you have those two nailed down, you can move into transformation.
Brilliant.
And once you've become this transformed person, you'll feel more confident, and you can naturally start leaning into becoming an expert in something, whatever that is. My expertise is technically data science. So I absolutely love having my head in Excel and building pivot charts and pivot tables and reading these things. I love it. It's not everybody's forte, but so I did that, and I developed, you know, expertise in that. So that is the very essence of my building confidence course. And at the end of it, you'll be able to sit at a table full of executives or board members, and you'll have an awareness, you'll have communication nailed down, and you'll be an expert, and you'll know what to say. You won't feel like you don't know what to say, and you won't feel inconfident. Oh my goodness, I can't speak.
Well, look, if it's, I think we'll discuss this. We'll discuss this further. But I'm adding you to my list for June now. So we'll definitely get that booked in. I can see some people nodding and smiling. So I think it'll be well received. So yeah, that'll be amazing to have you back. Thank you for. Sorry to put you on the spot, first of all, and thank you for like being steamrolled and agreeing to it. We've had a question come through, and it's based around how you would. Somebody's asking how you would sell yourself as an EA, which I like that as a question.
Yeah, that is a good question. Well, every single interview I've ever gone to, I have just been myself. I am quirky. I am open and honest. You know, if somebody throws a question at me and I go, look, I don't know, but I'll figure it out. So I've only ever been honest. So how I sell myself as an EA is depending on the questions that they show, you know, chug my way. It's usually, you know, can you explain to me what you did during this time and what were your key accomplishments and so forth. So I'll talk about those. But one thing that I always say is I make a note of, you know, where I faltered as well, where I made mistakes and how I fixed it and how I've learned from them. So I think always being open and honest about who you actually are and what your values are is more important necessarily, you know, than the job itself. Because if you're going to be spending, you know, so much time somewhere, you absolutely have to be happy with, you know, the company's culture and their set of values and making sure that that aligns to yours. So I don't think you should go into any role, and I've never done this, going into any role going, you know, I need this because I need the paycheck. I need this because, you know, I want to be an EA and I want to work and I want to make people successful. So I sell myself by being open and honest about who I am.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. And there's a lot to be said for that. And in my day job, if you like, of recruitment, a lot of people ask me about interview tips and techniques and what have you. And, you know, that's the first thing that you say is, you know, be yourself, because, you know, that's what people want to see, you know, and, you know, people want to see the real person, don't they? So I like that as I like that a lot as an example. So brilliant. Well, look, we've run over ever so slightly, but it's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed your story, and looking at the reaction of people that I can see nodding and smiling and what have you. It seems that everybody else has as well. We're getting some nice comments coming through saying thank you, great chat, and everything else. So you know, I just want to take this opportunity to, on behalf of everybody, just to say thank you so much for giving up your time. I know you've just recently gone back to work, so it's pretty hectic. So, you know, fitting this in, we really appreciate you giving up your time today, sharing the story. Thanks to everyone that's joined us as always, and thanks for the support.
Oh no, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for everybody else, you know, for like choosing to spend your time with Paul and I. That's really lovely of you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really lovely. I couldn't second that more. Every time I hit the button to say end session, I always kind of come away and think that's so nice that people have kind of taken that time. So I echo that. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Great choice of speaker. Look at that.
Oh my gosh. Can you see I'm blushing here?
When's the webinar? They're saying. When's the coaching? No, nobody's saying that. No, they're not. But they're all thinking it. So we'll get it booked in for a couple of weeks' time, and we'll let everybody know. Brilliant. Well, look, thank you so much. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and thanks for your time, Meg.
No, thank you very much. You take care. Bye.
Brilliant. Thank you. Cheers, guys.